Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Sparkly Crystal Spirit channel here on YouTube. So, today it's time for another episode of the Deck Dates series where I share with you my experience with working with two different decks, one tarot deck and one oracle deck. Use them together in readings and combining them, and the pairing was completely randomly chosen. And so today we are talking about the Moonchild Tarot, which is an indie deck published and or created by Danielle Noel, and the Cosmic Reading Cards, which is a mass market deck created by Nari Anastasia, because this was the pairing that we had gotten in last week's episode. And there, where we took the first look on this pairing, I said I could imagine that these two decks will work together fine or will be a good pairing, because both of these have, even though they have quite different art styles, they both have this cosmic-y universe kind of feel to them. Because, of course, Moonchild, we have the energy of the moon. Right here, there are also some night sky, stars, a little bit of that starseed feeling as well integrated in this. And the cosmic reading cards are all in these blue tones. You get a sense of being in the cosmos outside, in the galaxy, and looking at the stars from there, in a way. And they are called cosmic reading cards, so that makes sense. So I could see them connecting in that way, or through that common theme that they both have. And I have to say, after using them for, maybe I should start flipping through these a little bit so that you can have something to look at. Using them for 1 week in weekly readings, in doing public readings on YouTube, in doing my daily draws, I was right. I mean, they work together quite nicely. And the messages that they had were really a good fit. Oftentimes they talked about the same thing and really pushed the message forward and secure the message from one deck. Say I had one time I pulled the Seven of Swords in the Moonchild Tarot, and then I think it was integrity in the cosmic reading cards. And I mean, how well do they talk to each other and fit in terms of meaning? Because in the Seven of Swords, when we see it more traditionally, we see a person that is maybe stealing, that is maybe lying, or trying to manipulate, and that is not necessarily acting with integrity. So that was just one example, so that you could see what I mean when I say they really fitted perfectly in terms of the message. And brought forward the most important thing and the most important message. They really highlighted each other messages as well in that way. So let's take a look at some of the pairings right here. We have the Eight of Wands and Intuition. I mean, works beautifully with the Eight of Wands in a more Rider-Waite-Smith sense. There is a lot of fiery energy that we need to handle, and there are maybe chances that we get that are completely out of nothing, and then follow your intuition to pick the right one, or to decide what you want to do with that energy. as well as the double stability of the 8 in terms of fire energy. Really use your intuition to navigate through these eight wands. Then we have the 9 of Wands and time out, actually. Okay. 9 of Wands and time out. So how fitting are these? The 9 of Wands in this deck is depicted as this meditative, as this person meditating and pausing for a little bit. So you need to allow yourself a break, to time out, even if it's just for a moment, so that you can recenter, refocus, and collect energy to power through to the 10. The 9 of Wands is often also seen as still standing your ground and not giving up, even though you already have fought a battle and are a little bit maybe even injured or tired. So works perfectly in that way. The 6 of Cups and Golden Crown. This is one of the few cards in this deck where Golden Crown is not necessarily a keyword that keys you in too much. It is really open to interpretation. And so sometimes you can get completely different meanings of this card. With the 6 of Cups, it's quite interesting. You have that lightheartedness, that joy of life, that like seeing the life with the eyes of a child, which will be illuminating your vision and gets you connected to your higher self. And also that glow that you have when you enjoy your life, when you are surrounded by the things that you love and the people that you love. And when you maybe sometimes even break out of your problems, of the things that you think about all the time, and of all that burden, day-to-day burden in a way, which can dim your light. 2 of Wands and choices. I mean, we have a 2, which is about duality, and the 2 of Wands is for me about that you have the world in your hands. You have different choices. You have different things that you can do and focus on, but you need to decide. And you need to define which path you're going to take forward right now. And the choices card really represents that as well. Five of Wands and unconditional love. For me, the 5 of Wands, it is a card about conflict, about chaos. The 5 is an interruption of the stability of the 4. So the 5 of Wands is also depicted like a competition or people fighting, but for me it's not a really serious fight. It's more in terms of a competition sense or a playful fight. But oftentimes for me, the 5 of Wands is also that internal struggle, that we fight with ourselves, that we are internally in chaos, that we don't know what we really want, what we should do, who we actually are, or maybe we are fighting against ourselves and criticizing ourselves. And so this unconditional love card is really a way to say, hey, stop criticizing yourself, stop being such an asshole to yourself. Like, would you call that or be like that to other people, to your friends, to your family members? No. So start loving yourself, start being a little bit gentler to yourself. And maybe sometimes this self-critique, that criticism isn't necessary and is completely from a wrong point of view, because sometimes our work is absolutely perfect, but we aren't able to see that because we always criticize what we do. So this is a really powerful message, and I think that this video isn't going to be too long. And I love this message. I will stop here with flipping through the deck, but you have seen, I think, how these two decks interact with each other and also have a visual sense of how they look together. So this is a pairing that I would actually probably use again because I love how these two decks speak to each other and how they maybe even summarize or how they transfer a specific message and how they add to each other in a way. The only thing why I'm probably not using these two decks together more often, or why I say that this isn't a perfect match, isn't because I don't like how these two work together, even in terms of look, even though they're really different in looks or visual wise. I would still say this is a pairing that I will use, and I have found another tarot and oracle pairing, and these two will go together. But I have one oracle deck actually that visually fits a little bit better the Moonchild tarot, and that I actually created in a way or modified in a way so that I can use it, and having the Moonchild tarot in mind. And so I already had a pairing for this tarot deck. This is what I do. I have my tarot decks, and every tarot deck has an oracle deck that accompanies it, and vice versa. So I'm always thinking about, when I get a new tarot deck, is there an oracle deck out there that I feel really fits the tarot deck? Or vice versa, when I'm seeing an oracle deck that I really like and that I want to get, I do my research and I think about all the tarot decks that I have or that I want to get that are already on my wish list, or maybe a new deck that I've seen on the tarot tubes, and search for that pairing or for that fitting oracle deck or that fitting companion, because I love using oracle and tarot together, and I love when they visually look or pair aesthetically really beautiful, and they also need to have a pretty similar vibe that I'm getting from these two decks. And so what I actually did is, you probably are recognizing these bags. This is the Universe Has Your Back, more affirmation cards by Gabrielle Bernstein, and illustrated by, let's just see, Michaela Ezra. And with this deck, I had a hate-love relationship with it, because production quality-wise, this is stunning. The cardstock is beautiful matte. It feels super soft, almost like a rose petal finish, but it's not really sticky, so you can shuffle it quite easily. You get a sturdy box with it as well. And the artwork on it is absolutely stunning and exactly my style of art that I love. But the messages on these cards, I just couldn't get along with the text and the messages on these cards, because for me, they almost, all of them were essentially in the core of them the same. And so it just was repeating the same thing over and over again. There was too much love, light, and universe and stuff in there. And when you reduce each message down on each of the cards, they, as I said, essentially talk about the same thing. And so I really couldn't get along with the messages. But I also didn't want to give them away because I love the production quality and I love the art style. And the art style really has a place in my heart, and I love them so much that I was like, I had this deck in the pile to get rid of it because it just didn't work at all for me with the messages. But it hurt me in a way even to think about not having the artwork. And also the artwork really matches, or it has a little bit of the same feel in a way to my Moonchild tarot. And so what I did is I trimmed the deck, and most of the cards did actually fit. I took a look at where the artwork was and where the text was and trimmed it all in the same size so that I could get rid of the text on the card but still had the artwork. There are a few cards that I couldn't do that with because they were written all over the cards, so like from top to bottom there was text on them, so I couldn't do that with them. But with the most cards it worked. And so this is the size that I got, and I kept the artwork and put my own keywords on it. Some keywords that I could took out of the message that was on that card originally, some keywords that just felt like they are fitting the artwork that is on the card. And now I have an oracle deck that I can use that works for me, and not just like how many cards are in this deck. 52 cards that essentially have the same message all over again, that just with just one message, so to speak. And so I really like to combine these two decks. I have also used them together as well. They work beautifully together in terms of the messages. They really add to each other. They really tie in the messages to each other, and aesthetically they look good with each other, and also I get the same feeling of these cards. So, and I have written it on German in here, so this is like trust, and we have the Six of Wands. And I'm happy that I did that, but because now I have another oracle deck in my collection that I really love, that I'm able to use, and I still have the beautiful artwork, but I can use it. The Seven of Wands and Charisma, Temptation, and the Emperor. That is a quite interesting combination. The Hierophant and Inner Peace. Like, I just love these two together. So this is what I did with The Universe Has Your Back. I created my own oracle deck out of it, and with the intention to use it with my Moonchild. But because this video is not about this deck, I just talked about it a little bit here. Maybe I will do an extra video just talking about the modification process that I did with the Universe Has Your Back cards. If you're interested in that, you could leave me a comment if you want to see it. Or maybe I just will do it because I want to. That's also the case. But this is the only reason why I'm probably not going to use the cosmic reading cards so much with this deck. Not because they aren't a beautiful pair, because they are, but because I have another oracle deck that works even more or that is even more perfect in a way, at least for me, with this tarot deck. So now it's time to pull the next tarot deck. Actually, let's get a sound off when we are getting more advertisement here, and let's see. We have the Brit's Third Eye Tarot. Okay, this is also a deck that I like, so I'm excited to work with it. And now let's pull the oracle deck with that. I can't talk anymore, you guys. Now let's pull the oracle deck that I will combine it with, and I'm pretty excited to see which one it will be. So I just have to pause a second and I'll be right back. Alright, here we are again with the wheel with all of my oracle decks on it, and let's spin this one. So we have the Brit's Third Eye Tarot combined with the Saltwater Reading Cards. Okay, these are two decks that well, they're a little bit different, so let's see how they're going to look together. I'm not sure what I think about this combination, so let's see. And let's get some first impressions. I will get the two decks and I'll be right back again. So here we are with the two decks that I will work with for this week. The Brit's Third Eye Tarot, which is a deck that you can purchase on Make Playing Cards. At least that's where I got it from. I'm not sure if it's still up on there because I haven't looked for a while, but I think it is. I mean, why should she take it off? I'm actually also not sure who is the creator because there's no name on the tag box. And I know that when I did the walkthrough, the journey through video on this, somebody of you did put the creator's name in the comments. And I was really interested to seeing this, but I need to admit that I have forgotten the name and I need to look that up again under that video. And then we have the Saltwater Reading Cards, which are a mass market deck. It is published by Rockpool Publishing, and the creator is Laura Bowen. And the creator has also another deck with Rockpool Publishing out there, which is the Dreamtime Reading Cards, I think it's called. And you can see in terms of coloration, we did a little bit of a shift because the Moonchild Tarot was really, or has more of these softer, gentler, more muted kind of colors. And the Cosmic Reading cards are really into the dark, deep blues. And here we have a lot more brighter colors as well. You can see that the art styles are quite different. With the Brit's Third Eye Tarot, it's almost like a little bit of a manga art style. At least that's how I would describe it. And the Saltwater Reading cards are actually more like Aboriginal dot workings. I know that there is a professional name for this art style out there. I'm not an art expert at all, but you know what I mean. And this is, of course, about salt water. So you get different sea creatures and also other stuff in there that has to do with the sea. So I'm not sure. I think they could work together because they both have the brighter color and I get slightly similar feel or vibe from them. But then also they couldn't because they have a really different art style. They have a really different topic. So I'm really interested to see how they will work together and what the result will be after the 1 week. Because with the other decks, I had a tendency. With this, I'm really unsure about how I should, or what I should think about this pairing. So let's see. We have the Two of Swords and Healing. Actually, maybe let's see if I could zoom in a little bit so that the camera will focus better. What I really like here is almost you get that connection through color, like her hair and the deep blue in the rock pool right here. So that is interesting, even though they're completely different. You can get a connection out of here. The Two of Cups and Abundance, beautiful. The Seven of Cups and Boundaries. That is interesting. You almost get the same configuration on the card. Like you have in the right side corner, here is the girl. Here you have this like coral plant, sea plant kind of stuff. And then here you have the fish swimming, and here you have the cups in the clouds. So that is quite interesting. Interesting is probably a word that I will use quite often in this video right now. The Knight of Wands and basics. That's really like the Knight of Wands. It's really temperamental. It's really head first, diving into, not afraid of anything, but get a little bit back to basics. Like, don't indulge too much into in your passions and in that fiery energy. I love this World card. The world and opportunity. How amazing is that? Like, you are at the end of the journey, but now you're starting to begin anew. And from all the experiences and the standpoint that you have right now after that journey, new opportunities are ahead of you. The sun and letting go. Really interesting with the colors. Here it's pure oranges and yellows, and here there's orangey yellow that is on that being. What is this? This is a sea snake. So another color reference here. The Empress and family works beautifully together when you see the Empress more in the mother sense and the nurturer. So in this case, she would take that role instead of the leader and queen role. Ten of Pentacles and the unexpected. So I think this video is already long enough. So even though I find it quite interesting to see these cards together and could flip through until the end, until there are no cards left, I think I won't do this on this video because otherwise it will be too long. So let me know down in the comments, what do you think about this deck? Also, if you haven't seen it, and I have forgotten to mention that in the beginning of the video, I always have timestamps in the video description that is right below this video, and when you click on these timestamps, the video will skip directly to that. So I always have a timestamp to where we are drawing the new decks. So I will have a chapter where I will talk about the decks that I have used for the week, and then I will have a timestamp down below where where that chapter is over, so to speak, and we are drawing the new decks and take a look at the new decks for the upcoming week. So if you haven't seen that yet, I know at the end of the video it's probably not useful for this video anymore, but just if you haven't recognized it before, there are timestamps in the video description, so keep that in mind. It's probably helpful for the next video if you are watching the next episodes or watching the latest episodes. I will have a link to the playlist in the video description down below as well. If you haven't seen the latest episodes of the Deck Date series and all the pairings that we already had, so you know that there are always timestamps in the video description, at least in the later episodes. So comment down below what your thoughts are about this pairing, and how you feel about the Moonchild Tarot and the Cosmic Reading cards. Also share your experiences and your thoughts about all of these 4 decks, if you know them, if you have them. What do you like and don't like about these decks? And give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, if it is helpful for you, so that I can see that you like to see this video series. And also don't forget to subscribe if you're new here or if you haven't yet, so that you don't miss another video that is coming up on my channel. So thank you for watching. Until next time, you guys, Have a nice rest of your day. Bye.